It's podcast 35 at joettecalabrese.com, and today we've got a new episode for the Moms with Moxie miniseries.
All the way from my desk in New York, I get to see how homeopathy is transforming lives all over the globe. And some of my students have really caught my eye. Some of you have done all you can to learn how to cure those around you using homeopathic medicines. Your successes inspire me, and they're glorious and powerful. And I can't keep your successes a secret any longer. So, with help from my roving reporter, Paola, we bring you this mini podcast series that I call Moms with Moxie. It's actually grandmoms too, but it's Moms with Moxie. See how regular mothers and others, average people who want to cure those around them, have gone from freaking to fabulous with homeopathy.
I am here with Shannon Gunther. I am so excited to be with you today, Shannon. We've gotten to know each other a little bit on the phone and through email, and we have a really great podcast for Joette's listeners.
I am so excited to be here. Thank you.
Shannon, tell me where you're from, where you're living, what state or whatever.
Yes. I am in Northern California. We're up in the mountains, and I am a homeschooling mama with 7 kids and, of course, a husband.
Sure.
And just getting ready to graduate my 3rd child. So pretty exciting.
Awesome. Graduate your 3rd child. So you're a little bit ahead of me when it comes, but I have to say you look just as young as you sound. And that is so fun that you can just be so young to enjoy your family and,
Yes.
Do you have grandkids or anything yet? Or any of your kids?
No grandkids. Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Right.
My oldest is going to be 20 and he's like, Mom, not yet. Stop.
Okay. Yeah. So your oldest is 20. So you've got a little bit.
Well, but it's pretty cute.
All right. So Shannon, the first question I like to ask moms with Moxie like you is, why do you love homeopathy?
Well, honestly, when I found it, it completely gave me my life back. I was suffering from some chronic illness and I was at the end of my rope and had tried everything, and homeopathy was it. It completely gave me my life back.
Yeah. And you've said, do you feel like you have perfect health now, or?
I don't have perfect health, but improvement in my life. Just I can function again. It's going to be a longer journey. I was diagnosed with hypothyroidism and adrenal fatigue, but I tell you, within that first month of starting remedies, I felt like a new person.
So you mean you've been diagnosed with adrenal fatigue by like a traditional doctor?
A naturopath, yeah.
Oh, a naturopath, okay.
Yeah, and of course, there was lots of tests involved, and can we for sure be sure?
Right.
I know, but it all was kind of pointing to that with extreme exhaustion and whatnot.
Well, I'm trying to remember where I read this. It was a homeopathic practitioner, might have been Joette, I don't know. They say that your hormones are kind of a 3-legged stool, You've got your adrenals, your thyroid, and then the other stuff, the progesterone, all that, pituitary stuff. And when one of them goes out, the other 2 are close behind,
Exactly. And it's just so linked, and one will try to help the other and then of course get weakened. So it's just like this complex, complex stuff. Yeah. But I found homeopathy, though, simplified it completely.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And you feel like you're living a robust life. And that's the thing. Mm-hmm. That's the key. And Joette says it. You're not going to have perfect health. That doesn't exist,
Exactly. So, yes, I have my bad days. I have days where I'm definitely more tired, but I can get out of bed. I can not feel as overtaxed. I emotionally am stable. And that is just a huge blessing.
That is huge. You're right. Mm-hmm. I know. I feel like, I also don't have perfect health, but when I look at what I can accomplish in a week,
yes,
it's okay. I'm working on it. We got it. It's okay.
Exactly.
So let's talk about that. What was your life like before Joette? Let's go into some more details.
Okay. So, I had my first child in my 20s and really got into herbs, really loved herbs. They helped with colds that little toddlers get. And so I was just a huge fan. I was into eating really healthy. Then we discovered, Weston A. Price, love that. And so I found, herbs and the clean eating that definitely assisted with health. That was great. But fast forward to right after I had my seventh baby, it was right around 30, and that's when all the chronic stuff popped up. So I found, I went to a naturopathic doctor, got on Nature Throid, that's all good, was taking a lot of supplements, great supplements, and I believed in it, but it never quite got me over the hill. So it was a constant few steps, climb up this mountain and slip down, climb up, and we never reaching the top and getting over that. And I remember, I know I told you earlier that here I was at my dining room table, and I had 12 to 15 supplements in front of me, and I had to make a schedule of when to take them, this before eating, this during eating. It was so overwhelming. I just started bawling, and I'm like, I can't do this anymore. And this had been probably 8 years into my illness, and it was this roller coaster. My body would respond a little bit to these supplements and then slip back down to the bottom. So, it was actually my naturopath at that point said, we should maybe bring in a homeopath just to assist. And I went,
Wow, good for him.
I know. So that was really incredible, that just willing to do that.
Right. It is so discouraging when you have improvements and then it stops working. I mean,
Yes.
It's one thing to have a step forward, a step back, a step forward, but to have it stop working, oh my gosh, it's like you feel like you're losing everything.
To just go on this roller coaster up and down for 8 years, it was just so discouraging. It was like, I actually can't mentally do this anymore. This is just, so that brought me to the end of the rope. And it was like, okay, homeopathy is left. It's not like I didn't believe in it, but I just didn't know. I didn't know about it, fully.
So your naturopath brought in the homeopath. Was it just like a classical or what?
No, it was actually, she gave that up to me. And so I had known about Joette, had been kind of following her blog. Our Weston A. Price group had brought her to our little town for a 2-day intensive. And here I was in the front, just eating it up. So I had the experience of hearing her, seeing her, and just loved everything she said. But there was this little time. And then I was like, I want to go to Joette. That's the one. And so here my husband's like, yes, whatever it takes. Gave her office a little call, and holding back tears the whole conversation, because she actually gave me hope again. She's like, oh, hypothyroidism, we can address that. Adrenal fatigue, no problem. Emotions, we got that. So nobody had said that to me in my 8 years to that point of, we can help you out. It's just
with that confidence.
And that was wonderful. I just,
Yep.
And like I said before, it really, my body just, of course, just responded so well right away.
And then tell me about before Joette, then as far as being a mom, what was that like?
I was, so again, just into herbs, and that was like before the chronic. So that's what I would just kind of assist our bodies with the herbs and the eating healthy, kind of Weston A. Price, because at that point when I had little kids, I didn't have the chronic. And so
I see.
Yeah.
Which is kind of interesting, because it sounds like you're doing everything right, and then the chronic stuff came, which is like a little bit scary. You're not supposed to, that's not supposed to happen.
I know. Genetics.
Yeah, that's true. And then just, you did have a lot of kids, which is sometimes more stressful on some women than some women. Boy, every time they give birth, it's like they get thinner and their hair gets thicker. Oh, kill them.
Exactly. Well, and I can look back, when you do your timeline, Joette suggests this timeline, I had antibiotics as a kid. I had some vaccinations, and then of course there's a strong family history of hypothyroidism. So I just think those, like Joette talks about, that sleeping giant, so it just, kind of made sense as far as the chronics.
Yeah, that's true. And I guess you could have,
so.
Yeah, yes. And you could have been much worse off, I'm sure, obviously, right? And so that's good that you were wise and just from the beginning avoiding what she calls, what is it? She calls it avoiding medicines of commerce. So very good. I remember you also told me something about how Joette kind of transformed your perspective on illness in
She
general.
she did. Just having a bunch of little kids, and they'd get sick, bring home a cold, the flu, and it just always seemed really stressful because there was a lot of them. And I'd be like, oh man, we're going to be sick again. And of course, the herbs, they assisted, definitely, probably shortened the illness, that I saw. But what I loved is just learning from Joette. She said that sickness and the suffering with it, especially like chickenpox or the measles, is actually a good thing for kids. It's okay to have some suffering, and that how your body can respond afterwards if they were having trouble reading or riding their bike. And that just really was neat for me, just to go, oh, okay, I just need to really relax about this.
Yeah.
And so I just love
Yes.
that.
It's funny that you even mentioned the chicken pox. I don't know where she got it from, but my daughter got the chicken pox, and she has it like literally right now. And I like posted it on Facebook, stay away or whatever if you want to stay away.
Yeah.
But just kind of, public warning, public health warning, she's got the chicken pox. And the responses I got from my friends that do homeopathy and my friends that don't do homeopathy were night and day.
Yeah.
So my friends who know homeopathy and do homeopathy were like, oh, you got this, just like, oh, rite of passage, very even keel, calm about it.
Yes.
I have friends that don't do any sort of natural homeopathy or even natural medicine. I mean, we will pray for you. I am so sorry. Yeah, and I appreciate that. That's so nice of them. I'm like, thanks. We always need prayers, I guess. But
yes.
There is a fear and a lack of empowerment and understanding there that I am so glad I don't have.
That is so true. And even when I was doing herbs primarily, I had this book, and it actually had different things in there addressing to help with measles and the mumps and the chickenpox. And that just, as a mom, empowering, like we can do this. Now homeopathy just was all the more as far as feeling confident, and especially just with Joette teaching those Banerjee protocols.
I know it.
Oh man, that is just huge amount of confidence going, yep, got that. Oh, yep, we got this, so that's just wonderful.
Yeah, you're right. That's the difference between fear is having information and preparation, and that gives you the confidence. So
yes.
So tell us, speaking of, getting that information, have you taken any of Joette's courses? If so, which ones?
Yes, I've taken all of them, as many as I can. I think the skin course was my first, and then I did the Survivalist, good gut, bad gut, allergies, just finished up, feminopathy. I just got it, and I need to carve out that time to sit down and listen to that. So I'm super excited with 4 girls. I'm just the feminopathy course. I'm just super excited about.
Awesome. And so, I mean, this is kind of a practical question, but like, how did you save up for all those courses? I mean, what did you do? Like, no Christmas anymore. Just
exactly. And it was birthdays, Christmas. Just, can I set aside a little money for this? And it was just really neat. My husband, he is all about just the natural and healthy way of living, and he, it was just neat for everybody to see in the family what homeopathy did for my chronic so he's just like, well, let's just try to figure that out.
Yes, let's keep learning and doing it.
Exactly.
So which of the courses so far in what you've experienced has had the most impact for you?
So in my experience, and especially with 7 kiddos here, Survivalist, mainly because it's so practical, and you get a syllabus with it. And so that chapter on first aid is well worn. And I've run into it, and the kids know the book. They're like, get mama's syllabus here, In fact, I will say it paid for itself because it saved us 2 emergency room visits. So right there, paid.
And for some people, on the low end, that copay is just $100, so
exactly.
It goes up from there.
Exactly.
All right. So I want to hear the stories. Tell us about an experience where you felt like the Survivalist Guide was awesome.
Okay. This is kind of my biggest story to date. It's about my daughter who is 12 years old.
Okay.
And it was this last summer, we had been splitting wood with a gas motor log splitter,
I see.
and stacking wood. I had come in, I think, to make lunch for everybody, and had to walk to the back of the house where the laundry room was, and found her just sitting there and kind of in a state of collapse. Um,
Hmm.
and I said, "Oh, what's going on?" And I very soon realized that she was in a state of, of confusion as well.
Okay.
She was crying just kind of gently. So my head, her head hurts, but very rapidly the symptoms were increasing very fast. She couldn't talk clearly, so it was kind of babbling.
So she could just babble and not form coherent words.
Yes, correct. And
Wow.
so of course that like freaked me out.
Oh my gosh. Yes.
like, oh my goodness. So, I had one of the kids get my husband, and I, called the older kids and just to help. And I was
Okay.
having people get the homeopathy kit, the syllabus, survivalist syllabus. And we thought
I
at
love it. I
first,
can just see it. Was it like, go get the kit, go get
yes,
the book, go get your dad, everybody go.
exact, mobilize.
Yeah. I love it.
Oh, it was great. So I'm thinking anaphylactic shock. I'm thinking she got stung by a bee, she's
Oh yeah.
reacting. That's what, my first, and we're having a lot of trouble with these bees, in the late summer. They were just
Mhm.
kind of crazy and angry. And
Oh no.
so anyway, husband came in, we're looking over for a bee sting, and he got on his phone and Googled her symptoms, and he's all, it's coming up, carbon monoxide poisoning. I'm all, no. He's all, no, really, like, look. I'm like, what? We're out in the fresh air, with log
Mhm.
splitting and all. Well, sure enough, it totally matched. So I quickly looked up carbon monoxide poisoning in the survivalist syllabus.
And real quick,
Mhm.
your husband is sensitive to carbon monoxide too.
He is. So yes, I'm glad you reminded me. We knew he was sensitive to that, and she is just very much like him, so kind of prone to that as
Right.
well.
So
So
that
that was
helps that he was kind of aware what that feels like or something.
absolutely yes. So then it was like, it just seems so doubtful it could be carbon monoxide, but with that history and then the description
Mm-hmm.
in the survivalist syllabus, matched exactly. I'm like, wow.
And I can't help
Great.
but like it was really in there, like carbon
Yes,
monoxide.
yes, it's really in there. I love it.
That's awesome.
And I'm like, okay. Here. So, of course, her daddy's holding her. We open a door, fresh air. She's real sensitive, and she gets very distressed when she's ill. So she's very distressed. She actually knew that she couldn't form her words. She was trying to communicate. So that freaked her out all the more. So
Right.
it was just bad. So look up, there's several different remedies for carbon monoxide, but she fit gelsemium
Mm-hmm.
alternating with belladonna. And I would dose her, and I'd watch literally before our eyes her body calm.
Wow.
And that's actually knew how to dose. And then the intensity of her and her words would come back. She could form her words because we'd ask her questions and all that. Even like there was her eyelids were kind of half open, and she had a little bluish on her eyelids, so faint that probably just a mom could tell. And I could watch that
Mm-hmm.
go away, and then I'd watch it come back.
What does that mean on the blue on the eyelid? Is it lack of air or?
I'm not sure. That was just something I noticed because it would go away. Now, in the description that fit these remedies for her,
Mm-hmm.
it did talk about the eyelids kind of being half open. So that was just something I was aware of and just caught. So,
Mm-hmm.
I'm just not really completely, and up to that
Yeah.
point, I had no idea about carbon monoxide poisoning.
Right. Yeah. Well, and it doesn't matter. It was something was blue. It wasn't supposed to be. It was
Exactly.
coming and going, and you wanted it gone. Right.
Yes,
Wow.
exactly.
So
Um,
I have like an important question. Like, what about that situation? I mean, why weren't you guys jumping in the car, driving to the emergency room? Like, what's that discernment? Like, sometimes in the moment you're just doing what feels right. But tell us, can you walk us through that real quick?
yeah. So, I did during this episode here, I would look at my husband and I'd say, do you think we should go to the emergency room? I'm so glad he was there. He just totally confirmed my confidence as far as, no, let's just keep going, because what would happen is when I would dose, there would be improvement. And so we saw the improvement by watching her body. I mean, literally, you could just watch this calm
Mm-hmm.
come over her body. But, I had to dose every 3 minutes for about an hour, actually. And I know, that's usually not typical, but I would just watch those symptoms come back.
Right.
So we did that for the first hour. And then she wanted to go to sleep. She was calm, she could speak. And so I love that when a remedy is working, then they want to sleep. That's
Right.
a neat sign. That's a sign that I look for.
Okay, so deep down that kind of scares me though, because I'm like, what if she falls asleep and doesn't get up again? You know what I mean?
Exactly.
So what would you do?
Because she wanted to sleep, I had her lay down on the couch and I sat with her, and then I dosed every 30 minutes for the next hour or two. And then from there on out, I dosed every hour till the end of the day. And then I just had her sleep in my room because I just wanted to watch her and observe and just make sure nothing was coming back.
Right. Yeah, that's very, very, very wise. I like that.
Yeah.
And said earlier that your husband, while you were dosing her during that very first hour, he was online trying to find the emergency rooms, just kind of lining your ducks up in a row. And yet, because she just consistently was improving and improving, you felt like, we've got this.
Yes, exactly. And of course, we would jump in that car. I love what Joette says, you jump in the car and you start driving, but you're dosing on the way. We would totally do that. But because we just saw that instant improvement after we would dose, that just really gave us the confidence that, so far so good. But of course, we always have that in the back of our mind that we would do that, head to the emergency room.
And one little side note that I thought was really interesting about this experience is, you kind of said it earlier, but I want to make sure the listeners catch this, is your daughter is a little bit prone to being gelsemium-ish, with anxiety a little bit here and there, and it's interesting that when she had the carbon monoxide poisoning, it was the remedy that she needed, you know what I mean? And so that doesn't always happen, but it's kind of interesting that we pick up on these little patterns with our kids as we use homeopathy more and familiarize ourselves with your kid and the remedies, that help them. Like for my son, every time he would get sick with something, I'd look up remedies. Oh, pulsatilla. And then I'd write it down in my book. Then, 6 months later, look up remedies for this new illness. Oh, pulsatilla. And it seems to always be pulsatilla for him, so.
Exactly. And I think, don't you think that is just why having a materia medica and just familiarizing yourself with these remedies, then your brain has that connection like, oh, and so that's for me, definitely when her symptoms did fit that gelsemium for carbon monoxide, I was like, yeah, that remedy works well on her.
Yes, exactly. That's exactly what I was trying to say. Yes, this remedy historically has been great for her, and that kind of helps confirm things as you work through the case.
Definitely.
Yeah, not that I wouldn't use any other remedies other than pulsatilla on my son, obviously, or a protocol or whatever, but it's just kind of an interesting familiarity and intimacy you start gaining with your kids in the remedies.
Yes, definitely.
Okay, so tell us another survivalist one that you wanted to share.
Okay. So this actually happened before the carbon monoxide episode. We were fixing up a little house, and my youngest daughter, 10, was helping us out, and she came inside, and again, here I was, in the kitchen, busy, making lunch, and she goes, Mom, a nail poked my hand. And I go, oh, okay, well, go wash it and stick some tea tree on it. Because I was just busy. I was not thinking. So later, kicked myself here. Yep. Shoot, live and learn. That night, she's like, my hand hurts, Mom. And here it's the site on her hand it's hot, it's red, it's hard, and there's a very faint line, but very faint. And I'm like, oh no. And I'm like, really? I should have known better. And, I kind of see, I don't know, it's dirt, rust, who knows? So I go grab my book, Survivalist syllabus here, and look up puncture wounds. And so in the back of my mind, I was thinking, lead them. But what matched up to her symptoms is apis, just like a bee sting. It was
Yeah.
hot, hard, and red. So I went, well, okay, it matches. Dosed her with that. And again, it was really neat to watch. I actually could feel the heat go down.
Did you use a 200 or a 30? Just because I'm curious.
I used a 200.
Okay.
I thought it was enough of a
Right.
emergency that I was like, hey, let's just go for it.
Right.
So we could actually watch the swelling go down, the heat go down, little redness go down, and that's when I knew how to dose her. So probably about 4 doses, about 15 minutes apart, and then I could lessen them. And again, Dad's on the couch, we're watching it, we're like looking at each other, emergency room or not,
Right. Looking it up again.
Exactly. And this time it was, late at night, of course. But just to watch those symptoms go down was so neat, such a blessing to confirm we were on the right path. We had chosen the right remedy and went down. She went to sleep, checked in the morning, probably gave her one more dose, and we're good. And I was just like, unbelievable. I mean, it is believable, but it's just so neat to watch it work,
Yes. No, it is unbelievable because no matter, it's not an issue of whether or not I believe in homeopathy, because I do.
Mm-hmm.
It's just, it never ceases to amaze you.
Yes.
It's always just so wonderful. Like I think of like Mother Teresa. Every time I read a quote from her or something from her life experience, I was like, it just never ceases to amaze me how special she was. And
yes.
It's very similar with homeopathy,
That's so true.
Keep impressing me. I love those stories. I'm glad everybody turned out okay, and I'm glad that you got your money's worth.
No kidding.
Yes, absolutely.
But having these experiences as a mom, no, we don't want our kids to get hurt, but talk about the information and just being able to share with people if they have this. I just feel like those experiences were great, and I gained more confidence, more information for that. And I write things down, make notes. So
yeah, and it's true. It's like if I was at home, listening to you tell the story, I would feel like, oh my gosh, I could never do that. But here's the thing. One day you wake up and the situation smacks you in the face and you're going to have to deal with it. And if you're prepared, you do,
Yes. Yeah. Oh, side note, with the carbon monoxide poisoning, it was pretty stressful as a mom. So I grabbed my bottle of echinacea and take that for stress for mom.
Good for you. I know. Think clearly, please.
Exactly.
Very good. Okay, so new topic. You were telling me that you've also had some hip trouble for yourself, right?
Yes. Yeah.
And I think it somehow affected like the knee, or you tell me about it.
Okay. Well, probably started a year and a half ago with chiropractor adjustment. So, new thing for me, never really had trouble with that, probably 7 pregnancies, probably getting older, who knows.
Right.
But what it would do when it would come out, it would kind of twist my leg to where my knee would be twisted out of alignment as well. And the knee just swelled up like crazy. And there was just a lot of pain, just prevented me from even sleeping. So
that's interesting. It's like the hip being out had a domino effect and like impacted the knee.
It did. Yeah, that's what my chiropractor said. So with the swelling, it actually, first time it happened, I was on vacation, and I actually grabbed my Arnica 1M, took that. The pain was really intense, and my knee was huge. I mean, it was it was awful. That took away a lot of the pain and the swelling. So at least I could make it, the next few days and get home and then get to the chiropractor.
Right.
But this kept happening. And I thought, gosh, I don't want to live for having to go to the chiropractor all the time. I love the chiropractor, but I don't want to go every week. And I travel. I don't want to rely on that. So I checked in with the chiropractor. Can you give me some strengthening exercises and whatnot? Well, it happened to be on a end of a consult with Joette. And I just mentioned, I said, Joette, there's got to be something to help this. And so she suggested Rhus 1M. I'm like, oh, okay. And I could tell when it would start to come out of alignment, there'd be a lot of pain, kind of burning pain in the hip.
Okay. So tell me, like, what was the frequency you were having to go in for adjustments? Was it like once a week or what?
So when it would come out, I'd probably have to go 2 to 3 times to just get it to calm down, because
Oh,
everything was
wow.
just all kind of mad and twisted up and angry. It just needed to kind of relax.
Mm-hmm.
And then, of course, I'd probably overwork it or do something. And then I have to go back in another couple of weeks and then have 2 or 3 appointments.
Oh, wow. So it was 2 or 3
I thought,
appointments,
gosh,
then a 3-week break, then 2 or 3 more appointments. That's kind of a lot, yeah.
yeah, exactly. So I thought, well, this I can't do this.
Mm-hmm.
There's got to be something, right?
Right.
So Rhus Talks was and is amazing. I'll start to, usually at the end of the day, feel the pain. I take that at night right before bed, 1 dose, 1 little pill, and gone. And it has lengthened the chiropractor appointments to 6 months in between. So
Wow.
it has kept it in alignment. That was just huge for me. That was
So
just
it's
amazing.
not that the chiropractor didn't need to do the adjustment. It's like it helped glue it in place to last longer. That's amazing.
Exactly. So I don't know how it does it, but it works.
Yes. And I have to tell the listeners, Rhus Talks 1M is not something that you should just willy-nilly use. This is a
Yes.
pretty significant situation with the swelling and the frequency of it.
Yes. And I don't think I would have even thought that had not Joette told me how to do it.
Right. Maybe you would have done like a 30 or 200 or something.
Exactly.
And you had you checked the materia medica. It was better from heat, better from movement, worse from overuse, which is very Rhus Talks.
Yes. And that just, again, using the materia medica just confirmed that we're on the right track with any remedy. I always like to look that up and just confirm, if you have time. Obviously, emergency first aid, you may not have time, but
right.
I love that for that reason.
Exactly. Very good. Well, those are some pretty awesome experiences. You definitely have Moxie, I've decided.
Thank you.
You're welcome. You've earned it, girl. That is just so wonderful. And then do you have any closing thoughts for people who might be new to homeopathy, or, what you wish you would have known at the beginning of your journey?
I really wish I had known about homeopathy from the beginning. I feel like a lot of us take this, maybe not for everybody, but a lot of us take this journey of, we try everything else and our last resort is homeopathy. So when I would just encourage everybody, if you're new, try it first. And as moms, there's just so much confidence just being able to raise your kids without drugs and running to the pediatrician. There's a good place for that, for sure. But it really has just empowered me as a mom. I mean, Joette says that all the time. I just love that. And it's a hobby for me, learning about it. It's just, I just want to know as much as possible. And I want to be able to pass that down to my girls and even my boys.
Right.
I got a boy going to Mexico on a missions trip, and he's like, "Mom, tell me what I got to take." And I love that.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. I think that's really good advice. Try this first.
Yes.
Yeah. And you're right. It literally makes you a better mother, because the skills you need in homeopathy, listening, observing, caring, those are things that we can always hone as moms. So
absolutely.
Very good. Well, thank you for joining us, Shannon. It has been delightful. I love your peppy personality and your passion for homeopathy. And I really think that this podcast is going to help a lot of people. So thanks for taking the time out to be with me.
Oh, yes. Thank you, Paula.
Are you or someone you know a mom with Moxie? Well, we're on the hunt for you. And of course, we don't want to hear just from moms, but from anyone who uses and loves homeopathy. Reach out to my podcast team and let us know why you're a mom with Moxie. For more information, contact podcast@joettecalabrese.com.